Hi. Hi everyone, it's Heidi here at Riverside Beads. And we are live. I'm just trying to get, here we go. So I've got it up on my, on my phone so I can see. That's the one. Okay, so I can see what comments you have. I can see whether the picture's clear, etc. Okay, so I've not seen everyone for a while. Last one was 2 weeks ago because I do every 2 weeks and Donna does the opposing weeks. So it's nice to see you all again. And today we're going to do some bead embroidery. Hi, Gwenda, Lourdes, Dawn, Helen. I'm not going to do a shout out to everybody because I'm sure you all want to see. Hi, Jane and Dawn. It's nice to see you all and I really love doing these. So today is bead embroidery and we're going to do our beautiful, so you can see him there, the little elephant and her baby. Okay, I haven't named them, but they're all done with beads. Okay, and this is a kit. This is one of our kits that we've produced and is available at Riverside Beads. So you can either give them a ring if you're too far away. They're online. The kit's online as well. It's $14.99, or you can pop in store and buy it as well. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to turn the camera down so you can see better. Oops, a daisy. Okay, so move this to the middle and hope that you can see it nice and clear. Okay, so in your kit you get little grip bags with, let's see if you can see the beads. You see the beads there. Okay, so you get little beads in your kit, so you get enough to do the whole elephant. You get a piece of bead foundation. It's not felt, it's bead foundation, and it's especially for beads, so when you bead onto it, it doesn't fray, the fibres don't come out, etc. And obviously you need to cut it out. Okay, so I've cut mine out there. Now, you will see a slight difference on my cutting out from my big one. On the big one, he's got a heart, or she's got a heart in her trunk. Now, that's up to you. You can either leave it in or take it out. Now, I prefer it without the heart, so you can see where I've cut it and not left the heart in, but you can leave it in if you wish to. Okay, what else you get in your kit is you get a brooch back and some felt. Now yours will all be in white, mine's blue because that's what I had. You will need to make sure you don't miss his tail off as well, so you will need to cut around him onto the felt, but you need to do that at the end, so that's fine. And you have a needle and you will have some thread. I think you have a KO thread. You have another smaller piece of felt, and this is for you to add your brooch back securely onto your back of your piece when you're finished. Okay, so that's the brooch back, and that's how I put the little piece in, and then I glue that to the back of my felt. And you can actually add a few stitches if you want to make it more secure, but you don't need to. So the only thing that you haven't got in your kit is a pair of scissors and some PVA glue. Okay, so tip some of your beads out on your bead mat so that you can see them. And oh, hello, Steve Smith. Yeah, it's Heidi. Why, did you think it was going to be your missus today? Oh, bless. Okay, so, oh gosh, we've got lots of people watching. I'm just going to move my beads a bit so that you can hopefully see them. Okay, so I'm putting them in the wrong colour piles, but hey ho. Okay, so to start, I'm going to take a couple of meters of my thread. I'm just going to snip that off and add my needle. When you're adding your thread, I'm not going to show you because I'm going to put it in my mouth, but if you place it between your teeth and squish the end, Alternatively, if you've got nails, you can put it between your nail and your finger and just flatten it. The threads are usually a round shape, so they don't go through holes really easy, or the holes on needles really easy. So just squish it with your teeth or your finger, and hopefully it's going to go through straight first time. Yes, I'm usually pretty lucky with this. Okay, so once you've cut around your piece and decided whether you want your heart in or whether you want it plain, we're now going to start picking up our beads to cover this. Now, I usually start round the edges or start on this one or other side. You can start on either side, it doesn't really matter. So the first thing I'm going to do is put some beads along my trunk, okay? And don't worry about the back of your piece, no one's going to see it, so don't worry if you've got lots of knots and things like that. So I'm going to start where I have a line on my piece, right near the edge, not too close to the edge, because you're going to put a line of silver beads right round the very edge. Okay, so actually we could start with the silver beads and put them right on the edge. Now there's a mix of sizes in your beads. You've got size 8s and then you've got size 11s, and there's also some crystals as well. You can see very clearly from our photography which beads to use. Morning, Dawn. Which beads to use, so it's very good to see which ones you're using. You can mix them about yourself if you want, but bear in mind that if you are using a bead that there's not as many of, you don't want to run out unless you can get down the shop and get some more. So we're going to add sort of between, depends how confident you are, but I'm going to add 2, 4, 6, 8. I've got 9 beads there, and just where the stitching would end, I'm going to put down my needle through the bead foundation. Okay, so you can see that they're right on the edge there, and they will move over to be right on the very edge. So I'm going to go back up to the top of my beads so it pulls it nice and tight. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, down the other side of my piece, so I'm actually catching between the first 2 beads. So this is called couching, and this is so that it will hold those beads completely in place. And then I'm going to do the next one, so I'm going to go a couple of holes down, a couple of beads down, sorry, and pass my needle back up again. So these are holding the beads right on the very edge of the piece. Don't worry if you can see any stitches on this left hand side, because obviously your next row of beads will go in between those. So let's move down again. Let's go down another hole, so another gap in the beads, and you can just maneuver the threads as much as you want to catch those beads. Okay, so you can go down, I mean you can go down every single one if you wish. It's absolutely not necessary though. So every other bead, or it depends if there's a curve on the material. So if it's got to go around a curve, you may want to do every other bead, or there may be a specific bead that that needs to be caught and held in place. So just play it by ear, and you can go every other bead, you can go every bead. And then once you get down to the bottom of it, to make it look as though you've used continuous amounts of beads, I'm going to take the needle back through to the back. Okay, and obviously these stitches here that you can see will be covered by the repeat stitching on the middle. So now I'm going to come up from where I originally started at the top of that row of beads, and this is to help make the continuation of the beads much easier. So I'm going to pass through that top bead, and I think Donna is kindly putting a link to the project on Facebook, and so you will be able to get this online by following that link. So I'm picking up some more silver beads to make this line continuous. Okay, and you can see it's going round the corner. Oops, let's move my finger. The corner of her trunk. So again, where the beads are going to stop, put your needle down so that it at least holds those beads in place there for you. Then go back to where you've just started, added that new row. Take your needle and start passing between those beads at the edge again. Oops, daisy. So all I do is I do it on the edge so that I can use the edge as an anchor. So when I go up and over in between the beads, oops, the edge is my anchor, and then I just go back up through the, there we go. Bring it up from the back again. And anchor that bead on the end. You can use your needle to manoeuvre your little piece of thread if you're all finger and thumbs like I am. And again to the last bead. Let's just secure that in place. So obviously what I would do now is continue this right up to the top. So right up to the tip of her trunk. And then I would move down and around and go back up in this direction up. Let me use my scissors so you can see. So round this way and up to the top of her head, and then I would continue to go round the outside of her body. So once you've done that, which is real easy to do, then you can start adding the beads in the grey colour, which is the main bulk of her body. Okay, so I'm going to show you, oops a daisy. I'm going to start adding, oh I should at least thread that through there so nobody can see it. That's fine. That's it. So then I'm going to start adding these grey beads for her trunk. And just make sure when you pull your stitches tight that they don't make a hole all wiggly, because you don't want that. But any mess, you can see I've made a terrible mess on the back there. Any mess on the back, any tiny weeny little threads, there is a little weeny thread there from part of my knot. Any weeny little threads you can actually, oops, let's snip that off. How can it be so difficult to snip off a tiny weeny thread just because it's upside down? Okay. So I'm going to start picking up some grey, and the grey again is the same size as the silver ones, so this is a size 8 bead. And actually once you start doing the interior beads, obviously they sit quite nicely because they're up against, they're up against these silver beads, so it gives you a bit more sense of direction with them. Okay, so just push them tight against themselves so you know where the end's going to be, and pop your needle down to secure that row. Okay, now there's two ways of doing this. You can either, as you couch these beads, I'm going to do the first one, so you can bring your thread just down. Oh Wendy, okay, you'll be able to see it later because we do save it, so you can come back to it and re-watch it. And also if you get the kit and you need to re-watch it, you can watch it again to help you do your kit. Okay, so the first one I did there, whoops a daisy. Let me just take a bit more of my thread out. So the first one I did, I've brought the bead down, I've brought the thread down to the right side of the bead next to the silver bead. So I've gone down that middle bit. But you can, if you want, to make them, you know, absolutely tight with the silver beads. You can pass the thread up on that left hand side, and you can pass it right over the silver bead as well. So in fact it's encasing both, so you don't get any gaps or anything down the beads. So if I continue in that vein, it means that you've got an anchor that's going to help you. Oops. And I've just made a knot. Let's just reattach my needle. So this is a really fun kit to do, and you get loads of comments if you walk around with these brooches on. We've done some in the past, we've done some floral ones, and we have got another one coming up soon, hopefully, that is a cute little bumblebee. So I'm really hopeful that one's going to come around shortly. But they do seem to be really popular. I think just the way times are at the moment, it's nice. We can't see people's expressions on their faces, but you can kind of, the brooches just make you smile, you know, so you kind of know that the person looking at you and looking at your brooch is smiling, whether they've got a mask on or not, which is kind of nice, I think. And, you know, it's nice to make other people smile. They may be having a really bad day, but you may give them a little smile with one of your brooches on, you know. So, okay, you can see I'm just right down at the last bead, and they do tend to slide over slightly. So all you need to do is put your needle through your bead and just lift it back up again. Okay, and let's just do this last one. Your little monkey's getting stuck. I'm sorry if my fingers are a bit too close, but you do need to be holding it. So again, we're going to do what we did previously with the silver beads. So we're going to continue them on. So I'm going to pass my needle down to the back and come straight back up at the top. Okay, are my speakers on low? Let me just check. Okay, I've turned mine up. If that's worked any, please let me know. Okay, so I'm now going to pass down all those beads we just added. I do have sort of like a croaky voice, I'm afraid, so it doesn't really get that much higher. Okay, so I've now passed down all those beads, so now we can add on our next lot. Okay, so yeah, if anybody else is having any issues, please do let us know. I have turned my volume up. I don't have a particularly loud voice at the moment. So yeah, just let me know and I'll see if I can twiddle something, but I'm not brilliant at that sort of thing, so. Okay, so you can see I've added some more. I'm going to go back to where I added the last lot. All my volumes are up. So I must still be, am I still having an issue? Okay. Okay, so I've showed you how to do that bit. That's pretty straightforward. So there are different parts on this. So there are some areas here where it's like tassels and like a sort of a wavy pattern on. They've got those saddle type things that I know they're not for sitting on, but what they used to wear in the old days in the circuses, they've got like these saddle things with little tassels on, and there are a few bits that we have to go on these. So with the tassels, if I bring in our sample, so with this one, that's the little wavy part on the saddle, and these little ones down here are the tassels. So, as I say, I would not, I would do the whole of the body and stuff before I did the tassels. And I would add the eye. Oh, I'm sorry, Helen. Maybe when you re-watch it, it might be better. Yeah, so, sorry guys. The eye I would add as part of adding my grey beads. So I can show you how I would add the eye. I am using black thread here, and I would normally I would use a thread that that obviously blends in better, but I'm using black so that you can see hopefully what I'm doing. the eye is a black bead, so it's one of the 8 black beads, and it's one of the little white pearly beads on top. So I've picked up both beads, and hopefully you can see that on the camera. Okay, and then when we go back down, we don't pass back through the white bead, otherwise it would fall off. We're just going back down through the little black bead, and this will give us a white bead on top, so it looks more eye-like. Oops, I got caught around my edge. There we go, you can see the little black bead on top. Okay, so that's how we add the eye, and the same for baby's eye as well. Okay, and then the little tassels. So these again are done in the same technique. Okay, and so the first ones I've got here are red ones, and they have a size 8 red, and then we've got a size 11, sorry, red to coordinate with them. Okay, so they look as like though they're one bead, but they look more 3-dimensional. So you can see these on my mat, just there. Okay, so I pick up a larger one first, so that's the 8, and then an 11, sorry. Okay, and we'll put that one on there, and hopefully you can see, and I'm just going to pass down the 8 bead rather than the top one. So the top one is the 11 and the bottom one is the 8. Pull it through, and that makes it 3D. Okay, can you see that? Oh dear, please don't give up, Wendy. Is it Wendy? No, Helen, please don't give up. So we do the same thing again. So we pick up the 8 on the bottom and the 11 on the top, and we go back down through the 8. Okay, so you can see they sit above, and it gives it a bit more dimension. Okay, so let's show you a bit more. So when you've completed, I'm just going to undo this brooch we had up for the shop. Okay, so this is my finished one that I've got here, and you can see it looks absolutely stunning, doesn't it? So what I had to do when I got all my beads done, everything completed, I had to lay my elephant onto my, oh, that one it was. There we go. I had to lay it onto the felt. Okay, we put it on felt because we're not stitching into it, so we're not going to get the fraying and stuff like that. And the felt is obviously slightly thinner. The bead foundation is a little bit stiffer. So you want the stiffness obviously to hold things in place and not fray when you're sewing. So when you get to this point and you've finished all your beading, take your elephant. Now you need PVA glue, which you would put all over the back of it. Put it onto your felt, and then leave it to dry so it's completely dry, and put something really heavy on it to make sure it's adhered nicely to your piece. Okay, and then you cut around very carefully, make sure you don't cut into any threads. It's better to leave a tiny weeny little bit sticking out if you're going to cut into your beads instead, because if you snip into a row of beads, you might end up losing a full row. You can put them back in, you can stitch them back in, or you can glue them back in, but you don't really want to have to start doing that, obviously. And then once that's been cut out and placed on, you can sit your brooch bar on the back. Oh, actually, I've got one here. I've got my brooch back there, and you thread the little tiny rectangle shape through, and then I glue it down onto the elephant in the position. I kind of try it on myself first and then see what position I want it in, and then just some PVA glue over under these two sides of it, And if you want to, after it's dried, you can stitch a little bit on the edges just to keep it secure. And then voila, you have your elephant. So she's really, really gorgeous. And I'm really pleased with her. And I think we probably should have a name for her as well, but I'll leave it to you guys to decide. Okay. How's everybody doing? So has anybody got any questions they need to ask about the elephant? Did everybody get to see it nicely and clearly? No? No questions? Okay, so next week it will be Donna on Facebook Live next Wednesday. Not quite sure what she's doing for Facebook next week. I definitely, in 2 weeks' time, will be... Oh, thank you. Thank you, Helen. That's nice. She said it was great. Fantastic. Thank you, Donna. Okay, so next week, Donna's on. And then the week after that, it's me again. And I'm hoping to get on the beaded wreath that I did many years ago for a jewellery magazine. And we always put it out in the shop in the run-up to Christmas. I've got one that's sort of part way through, which I'm gonna show you both, but I'm gonna bring obviously the one that I'm working on still. I'll bring that on and show you how to do it. And Donna's hopefully going to get together with me, and we're going to put together some beads in like a kit form. So, you know, a bundle of beads that you can buy alongside a polystyrene wreath, circle thing. And then you can buy that instead of having to make purchases separately, because it can get, you know, a little bit more expensive because of the amount of beads you use, but you can use a lot of acrylic and make it look absolutely stunning. Okay, so thank you very much, guys. Thank you for watching. And I'm Heidi, and Riverside Beads. Get online, have a look at our collections online and our kits, because they are beautiful. And if you can't get online to get a kit, then you can ring the shop. And oh, Donna's just replied to me. So yes, Donna's doing wire work next week. So fantastic. So any of you wire workers out there, and the other guys as well, because it's a nice element to add to your jewellery making, that'll be fantastic. I'm sure we'll be watching. So yes, thank you very, very much. And let me turn the camera back up just a second so you can see me. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you everyone for watching, and I shall see you in 2 weeks' time. Thanks very much. Bye.